Why, hello there and welcome back and welcome. Good to have you here. I'm Paul Trainee. I'm going to dive into today's graphic design basics. This is our very first daily creative challenge. We're actually going to be doing something. So yesterday was all the setup. So this is going to be a lot of fun and I'm glad you're here. Afroja, I see ya. Roseanne and Marion and Becky, Karib, Reverb, Mike. Awesome. We've got a good lineup of guests. It's all about you guys, and the next 2 weeks is all about art lessons. So that's what we're going to be doing, tackling our fundamental design lessons that we should know. This goes for art, this goes for design, right? What is design really? Just art applied to the business world, right? So let's kind of dive into this, and I'm so glad you're here. Yes, hello, creative people. This is what we talked about. Let me just go right over here. This is what we talked about yesterday. So we have, for the next 10 days, a number of lessons where we'll be talking about the elements of art and history art. This week's all about like the elements of art. So we're going to start right up here. Line, shape, space. That's what we're going to do to create a modern logo, Paul Rand inspired logo. So let's just jump out there. I'll show you where you can get these files. Here we are. Here's that lovely link that we're always posting, Creative Challenge, Graphic Design Basics. This file actually doesn't have a lot in it, to be honest with you, but get started. I just have like some letters. So let me show you what this looks like. I'll open it up. And by the way, I will paste this for those that are joining me elsewhere across all the interwebs. All right, let me get that pasted in there. But this file, if I switch over to it, disregard that stuff that I was working on. This is all the file really has, right? I didn't want to get you intimidated with the blank page because we're going to make a logo, and we're going to make a logo based on your name. Okay, so we're going to just take your initials. We need something to work with. We're going to take your initials. We're going to make a logo out of it. So that is the idea. Okay, so that's what's in this file, right? You can see, in fact, there's more than meets the eye over here. I threw some fun quotes up here, and then also my contact info if you want to use that. But sure enough, I like this quote, actually from what? It's pretty much the founder of abstract art. Everything starts from a dot. So that's actually what we're going to do. We're going to design a logo from a dot. And also right down here, I'm going to scroll down to this last fun, actually not this one. Yeah, here we go. Paul Asher says, it's through mistakes that you actually grow. You have to get bad in order to get good. So let's make things ugly. Why not? Yeah, they might get ugly. They might get bad before they get good. So let's start with that ugly dot and let's create a logo. Paul Rand inspired, by the way, for today. Now, really fast, I don't want to make this too much of a lecture, but here's who Paul Rand is. He's a graphic designer, living in New York. Created a lot of the logos out there that you have seen, kind of like in the 50s to 70s to 90s, because this, it's not here. Oh, this next logo, this was for the next operating system for Apple, UPS, So this is, he pretty much brought graphic designers, he elevated their status in the business world. But you can see all of his logos, and kind of the founder of graphic design, if you ask me. And Paula Scheer, who's still around today, has a podcast. I've met her, I've interviewed her, she's awesome. And you can see some of her logos that she's made and quotes from them. But again, there's some wisdom from them. Don't try to be original, just try to be good. Yeah, let's try to be good today. But let's just try. I think that's the most important part. Okay? All right. Oh, no way. Mallory's making logos from initials as we speak. That's fantastic. That's such a Swiss style thing to do. I love like Swiss design because Paul Rand stuff came from very much like a Swiss point of view, which is just like devoid of any, it's like devoid of politics. Let's boil this down into just what the story you're trying to tell should come from the logo and not from any other part, right? Politics or whatever else. So right over here in your layers panel, hopefully you have your layers panel open. You have these letters, that's locked down. You don't have this layer, right? But you have this layer folder. That's what you're gonna work on. So it's very helpful to be mindful of what layer you have selected. Because if I have the rectangle tool selected, and I can see this. Oh no, I can't draw. It's because the layer is locked right over here. Okay, so again, this is Daily Creative Challenge. This is new stuff, by the way, okay? So again, I can lock or unlock layers, just so you know. These letters, if I unlock them, you can see, oh, now I can actually jump in and I can select them. But that's what's going on. That's just how your layers panel works. You can lock, unlock, turn them on, turn them off, right? All that fun stuff. For you pros out there, tell me about this, because Mallory and Damien and everybody, like, double click on a layer. When we start drawing, it's gonna draw with a color. So I feel like designers run into this. It's like they might prefer some colors over others. The reason you have different colors is because what you're drawing could be different colors. So that's why it always gets changed. But you could always change it to your favorite color, your magenta. We'll do light blue. We'll click OK, and that's where that comes from. All right, let's have some fun, huh? Let's have some fun today. We're gonna make a logo. It's gonna be amazing. So we're gonna start with basic shapes right over here. First of all, look, this stuff is loaded. Like, Illustrator is like stacked, right? So right here, we can click rectangle tool. Oh, we have that, right? I can draw that out, and don't be afraid. In fact, I'll turn off that background layer. There we go. Here we have a rectangle. Oh, we could go to the ellipse, the circle, right? Everything starts from a dot. There it is. Boom, done. Okay, where do these colors come from? The colors come from right over here, from my foreground and my background color, right? So what I also have is my selection tools. So I'm usually drawing, selecting, and then using the sub-select tool as well. But I'll just select this rectangle, move it over there, maybe move this one right over here. And we can see off to the side here, I can change that color, right? Just by clicking on it, doing a double click, I can change the color if I want to, like that, okay? I can flip these colors too. So we could flip these, since that object is selected, it's gonna flip those colors, right? What if I want this just filled with black and no red? Well, I could actually bring this stroke forward, but right here, set this to none, right? Are you guys doing this, by the way? Oh yes, exactly. Michelle, I do the same thing. Honestly, I want just to have blue for everything. And then just in specific cases, I could change it. But right over here, this is hugely important. You can get into the shortcut keys in here as well, which is what I will typically do, right? So we could, if I flip this, and by the way, I can hit X. I'm gonna give you some shortcut keys. X will toggle between the two. If I just hit the X key, okay? So these are just fun shortcuts that are gonna make you faster, right? There we go. I can hit D for the default colors. D. Now we've changed them to the default colors. And sure enough, by the way, my object changes as well. So I hit D, boom, right? I can hit X, I can start to flip those colors around, right? Just like that. If I do Shift X, it's gonna swap the two colors. So Shift X, okay? But if I don't want a color right here, as you saw right here, I don't want to have that white stroke, I can set that to none. And let me put me on the other side of the screen, sorry. And notice how that's just gonna be a /. So right over here, we're gonna set it to none, /, boom, there it is. All right, just the basics. Yeah, oh yeah, that's good. That's a good point, Colleen. The colors help you realize what layer you're on. So right in here, I have this set. Notice that if I want to actually have this, and I really want to change my resolution, but I want this square to match this circle, right? So I want them to have like the same style. Well, right over here, it's the eyedropper tool. Hit I, click on that, boom, and now they're the same, okay? So just some quick shortcuts. Eyedropper tool is the letter I. Yeah, all right, let's move on. What's up, everybody? Let's make a logo now, huh? Let's have some fun today, right? Start with your initials. My initials are, of course, PT, so let's zoom down in here. And again, this is just a place to start. We can see that we're gonna really, to make a logo, we wanna kind of deduce this down to its basic shape. So I'll draw out a circle right there, that's fine. Maybe we'll grab the rectangle and go down like so, like that. Okay, so this is a starting point for me. Also T, if I'm gonna add a letter, I'm gonna drag this over. Do you guys know how to duplicate items? You can do a copy and paste, Command C, Command V, or what do you do? And let me turn off this background. We could just select this shape and Option drag it, and we'll duplicate it. Option drag, Option drag, Option drag. Make as many of these as we want, right? Another thing you can do is drag one out like that by holding the Shift key as well, and then Command D. Bam, 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 bam. Command D does its magic, right? Okay, so we'll get back to where this was, because I just want to drag out and hold down the Shift key to have the T. So this is going to be the P, here's the T, right? Maybe I'll drag one up. I'll rotate it, right? This is exciting, guys. This is Illustrator. This is the fundamentals. Is it possible to put vector objects in the CC library for Illustrator? Yes, it is. So that's what we'll do. And by the way, this is how we do things, even at Adobe. Since you asked about the CC libraries, like right in here, look. Oh, guess what is this? Adobe 2020 brand. Here are all the logos. As we talk about logos, once I make it, I'm going to drop it. I would put it in my brand folder, basically my brand library. Okay, so that's what I would typically do, and you get the idea. Okay, cool. Let's get rid of that. Let's go back in here to what we were working on. Let's rotate it. Ba, ba, like that. We want to snap it to the top, right? We can just go over here and sure enough have it intersect like so. Okay. So this is really basic, but that's okay. This actually could work. First off, this is where, since I'm doing a logo about, like, that's supposed to kind of, I guess, be me, which is going to be really tough. Do I look like this? I'm not tall and skinny. And this logo has a tall, skinny look to it. And I'm like, I'm not like tall and skinny. I'm like 5'10", probably average build. So I could use my direct selection tool right over here. This is what I typically do. And I almost did it without speaking. Direct selection tool will allow you to select any point to a line. So right down here, we can come in and grab that. We can make it wider. We can make it shorter. We could have fun with it. But what I do, since I want to shorten up both of these ends, I just do a click and drag. Thank you. Boom. There we go. Shortening that up a little bit because, again, I'm not 6'4". This is looking a little bit better, right? It's weird. These look like arms. I'm just, just talk out loud. Like, what is this? What is this doing? What is it conveying? What am I trying to do as well? Because I should have a story behind this before I actually even begin, and I don't quite because we're just kind of playing around with the basic shapes. Okay. So here this is. I'm like, this is okay. Like, it's not that interesting, right? A lot of times, so many designers, how do your files look? Like Mallory, how do your files look like this? Because you'll have your original logo, like maybe it's up here, and you'll duplicate it. So Option drag, and maybe hold down the Shift key, and then you'll duplicate it, and you'll have a second one. So we have our first one, and now we get to play around with a second one. Okay. How to rotation circle watch number. Ronak, I have no idea what you're saying, man. You gotta simplify that, right? If you want me to rotate something, you want me to create something, check this out. We could do this, just for all you people out there in the audience. This is loaded full of tools. If we want to rotate a shape, by the way, let's just change this to something else that we can rotate. We can just rotate it like this, bam, right? But we also have a rotation tool, so we could double click on that rotation tool, maybe get an angle. That's kind of cool. Oh, we could rotate this based on an angle. This is the center point, so I could say rotate it 15 degrees, and we can rotate it that way, right? Also, in your properties panel, so sorry, zooming out, my properties panel, guess what? Oh, there it is. It knows the angle that I rotated it at. So all my stats and everything, all my properties for the object I have selected is right here, right? There it is, right? If I shrink it down, we can see it's going to change the width and height. I do have this rotation tool, so this is something fun. We can hold down the Option key and click in the center. It brings up these rotate options where I can say, hey, rotate it 15 degrees and copy it. Right? What did we do earlier? We did a Command D. So basically I did a transform and now I want to repeat it. So right, there it is. Lovely. I don't know, pattern of sorts, right? Option click to define the center point, and then click copy, and then it's just Command D, Command D, right? With this, since there's a number of shapes, my properties panel is so smart. It's like, yeah, I'm a big shape now, but I want them to be just one unit, one object. The properties panel gives you everything you need for the object or objects that you have selected. So right down here, I can say, hey, you know what? Click to unite. Oh, let's do that. Let's unite them because that sounds like a good idea. And it unites it, and it's all one shape as I flip it and do something like that. So that was fun. That was kind of off track, but that's okay because we're just creating. Let's go back over here, shall we? Let's make that logo. Looks like BP. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Christine, because you're gonna have to do two things. So much to talk about. I gotta calm down. You want to be aware of what's out there. You don't want to create something that. So you want to do your research. Maybe you want to go get inspired and look at stuff, just so you know. But some of that can influence your design. So I could unknowingly be creating a BP logo because I saw it in my research. But everything is influenced by everything else. Let's move on. I kind of want to make this more interesting, right? So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to grab a rectangle. I'm going to draw it out like so. Okay. And now I'm thinking it would be fun to just round these two corners right here. So I'll go ahead and use the direct selection tool. Come over here, click and drag. And now we can just go ahead, curve in those 2 points. And now this looks more like a true P, right? That looks a little more interesting. What else can we do? We can duplicate this, right? We have this shape now, and I'll just change its color for fun. So you can see, there it is. It's a different color because I might want to create the inside for us. So let's shrink this down like that and make this longer. I'm just kind of messing around, but I'm going to show you why I do make some of these decisions. Right, so I'm thinking, okay, a swooshy like thing kind of coming in from the side might be nice. Right, first off, this looks a little long, so let's shorten it up like so. Let's actually shorten both of them up. Bring that over like that. Let's bring this in. There we are. This probably needs to be a little shorter as well. That's fine. Okay, cool. All right, so we have this situation where I have a total of 3 objects. What I want to do is I want to remove this inside. I could change it to white so it looks like it's removed. And I probably, to be honest with you, I want to keep this as a separate shape for as long as possible. Right? Only when I want to need it to be a solid shape will I make it a solid shape. So to answer your question, I don't want to merge 2 objects, but when I do merge 2 objects, let's say for instance, take these 2. I'll show you what these look like. D, there we go. Take this down to 1. Here are 2 objects. One object is in front of the other, right? But these objects are kind of intersecting. When we merge these 2, so if I select both of these shapes and I merge them together with Pathfinder right over here, it's going to make it one solid shape. So it gets rid of that inside line, right? That's what merging shapes means. Okay? Again, this is day 1. This might be the fundamentals. I'm trying to include some things for people who've been here a while as well. But let's take a look at this a little bit more closely. Because as I'm drawing, guess what? Everything is on one layer. So I'll go right over here. Oh, look. Unlike Photoshop, we have these sub-layers, right? So I have layer 1, and then everything I've been drawing has been nested under here. So what did I do? Just twirled it down. And now you get an idea of the stacking order. It's like, hey, oh, hey, Paul, you do have, if I click on this one, sorry, my palette is, it shows this highlight right here. Let me actually pull out this artboards panel. Much better. So this shows me the depth now. So if I click on this one, oh, it says this one. If I put this one on top, it's going to be in front. Put it on bottom like that. Okay, we also use shortcut keys, which is Command key, Command open bracket, closing bracket. I can toggle the stacking order, right? So that's how that works. Everything's going to be on its own sublayer, so it's nice and neat and still independent, yet still its own layer, right? If I join them, they're going to become one shape. All right, so Illustrator's huge, guys. Like, this is super important, right? So now I have this P that looks pretty cool. I could take the T. I think to make this look a little bit more interesting, let's move it over like that. I want it to be kind of tied together a little bit more, so let's shrink this up, use guides to snap it into place. Let's go something like that, right? And we can do something like this for the logo. When it comes to these letters, like, the reason this isn't working is because, not quite yet, is because this P is so much wider than the T. So I really need to play with this side of this letter and adjust, honestly, till it feels right, okay? I want everything to be exact, right? Look at the thickness of this. The thickness is off, right? So I kind of want to have the thickness of these lines the same, which is why I'm changing it. Like so. Make sure those lines are the same thickness. Shrink that down a little bit more. Move this in. See? Good thing I didn't combine them, because this would be much more difficult. Now I can kind of move that over. Now I know that they're the same size, and this is just a very simple, strong logo. This is potentially the problem with this. A T is not far off from becoming an F. So I need to just be very conscious of that. And maybe I can have the two, one play into the other. So I'll take this, I'll duplicate it, and I'll move it like over here, right? So now we have two. And this is what you do. You just keep iterating and creating, right? You'll do a lot of this. You'll do a lot of tilting your head, right? But maybe what I want to do here is for this line, I want to curve it out to kind of emphasize more that it's a T. So I want to emphasize this kind of bar coming across. So I'm going to hold down using my direct selection tool, happens to be this one right up here, selecting it, and then just clicking once, click. Now I can move this around, but I'm actually holding down the shift key because we want to extend it out, okay? All right, we have this lovely path. I need to curve this path, right? I could do this a couple different ways, but I'm going to introduce you to the Bezier point. So we're going to use the pen tool. So we'll go in here, we'll add a point just right there. We'll go to our direct selection tool, and we can grab this point. We can kind of move it around, right? But this, I need to add a Bezier point to it. So right underneath the pen, we have this anchor point tool. We're going to add anchor points. So anchor point tool is huge, right? Anchor point tool right there. We can come in here and click and drag. And now notice how I can adjust the curve of this line. Again, this is the fundamentals. This is our daily creative challenge. This is just day one, right? If you know this, that's great. You'll know you have to hit A, and A will go back to the direct selection tool. And you'll get used to hitting these shortcuts. P for pen, Shift C for anchor point tool, of course A to select, and then also right over here, as you can see, if the tooltip comes up, it says select tool. So that's typically what I will use for these, right? Here's another fun thing. You ready for this? Let's remove this. I'll just hit minus, and let's just remove that there. Let's come down here. We'll do Shift C is going to give us our selection point, or our anchor point tool. And I can make this an anchor point. I want to curve it out on one side, but not the other. Well, drag it out that way, still with your anchor point tool selected. Come down here and drag it in like that. That's what I want, more of a smooth curve, and I can do the same thing over here, right? And that's what you want to do, is you want to have a nice, clean, smooth line in this case. All right, cool. Not bad, not bad. I will probably tweak that a little bit more. And there's other ways to do this, by the way, but my whole goal here was to introduce you to some shapes, teach you some logo stuff, right? And kind of make it just like at least the start of a nice logo potentially. So now I'm kind of making it look like it's behind that logo. So let's kind of tighten this up like this. Bah. All right, last thing we're gonna do this export. You ready for this? We're gonna export this out, right? This artboard, this is how big my artboard is. This is probably the easiest thing to do, is you could move things. This is the easiest thing to do. Just move the things off the artboard, move them off, take this, drag it up, and now here's my logo. From there, let's just export it out. There are other ways of exporting things out and other ways of doing things, but it is only day one. We're gonna export this out as a JPEG, artboard 1. There it is, thank you very much. That's my initial logo of my name. And you're gonna post that to challenge. Oh, everybody's having so much fun with these, by the way. Thank you so much for doing this. This is just a good day one exercise to kind of like for us to meet each other and say hello. Hello, my name is Paul. This is a start. Here's the key thing. Everybody's gonna make the mistake of over designing. That's okay. You're probably gonna over design before you under design. The editing process is what you need to do. But thank you so much. That is my time. Join me tomorrow, and thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you.